The name itself suggests that you will be monitoring the progress of the project against what you have planned. The progress of the project will be coming from execution, and the plan will be coming from the project management plan or the planning phase. The concept and the idea behind this monitoring and controlling phase is to make sure that if your project execution is not happening as per the project plan, so then you can replan the project on the basis of the new identified information or the experience that you have gained from an execution process. So when you are doing an execution, things will be happening, changes will happen. You will be making sure, you will be comparing them again the project management plan, and then when you will compare them, you will find the variances. So idea here, you want to make sure that today if you find some variances and you want your project back on track, you will be doing some change request. You will be having some corrective and preventive action so that project does not go wayward too much away from your original project plan. So evaluation and comparison of the actual measured results against the scope baselines, against the schedule baseline, against the cost baseline, against the performance baseline is the fundamental principle of this project. There are two inputs, project management plan and project progress reports. What is reports? This is the data that you have collected from the execution. But again, there is a catch here. The execution data collection is technically my word against your word. You have to make sure that your team gives you the honest opinion. They keep updating their daily timesheets, their progress timesheets. They keep on showing the honest face to you that what they have delivered and what they have not delivered. It is something not very easy. As a human being, we tend to save ourselves. We tend to say, okay, we have done this something where we have not done it, and because we think that by the time actual time will come in, we will deliver it. So, or to make sure that your team remain honest to you, to make sure that you get the right information, you have to create an environment of trustworthiness. You have to create an environment of collaborativeness. You have to create an environment where people actually trust each other, that there will be no politics, there will be no leg pulling. If they would tell you that they have not done something, you would not be using them as an scapegoat. The purpose of this is controlling changes and recommending corrective and preventive actions. What do we mean by controlling changes? Controlling changes means, yes, changes will happen, it is inevitable. But what should we allow all the changes to get part of the project? No, as a project manager, we need to influence the areas which are actually initiating a lot of changes. We have to make sure that what are the good changes that we need on our projects. Monitoring ongoing project activities against the project management plan and influencing, most important, influencing the factor that could circumvent integrated change control, scope creep and gold plating. These are the two things which are actually change requests, but they will bypass your integrated change control management because somebody will agree on it and they will start delivering it. So this is the purpose of the monitoring and control, is to make sure that your project remain on track against the project management plan based on the lesson learned from an execution. So the tasks that we need to do on this process involve tracking, reviewing and regulating project progress, including status reporting. You need to provide reports on scope, cost, schedule, resources. We need to control the project, formalize the acceptance of the deliverables. We need to record quality control result, implement risk treatment plan, administrator supplies. Here you are actually addressing that how good you have executed the project, how good your execution team followed the initial project management plan, how you will be monitoring and identifying and how their progress against the project management plan. So these are the tasks that are expected of you from when you are in monitoring and controlling phase, which are risk, issue logs, because risk will happen. Risk is something, it is with us. Our lives are prone, our projects are prone to risk. We all live in a risky environment. So risk is something you will be monitoring here. It's not an effort that you could do periodically. No, you will be doing risk management, risk monitoring, risk response planning, risk identification on a daily basis, on a short period of time, maybe weekly. You will be going through the risk identification. Next is the processes that we have here: monitor and control project work, which is again part of an integration. Then we have performing integrated change control, again part of an integration. Obviously, I'll go into the details of all these processes when we will be doing the knowledge areas, and we will be identifying why we need to do it, what are the inputs, outputs, and deliverables. Then we have to validate scope, is making sure the scope is as per the requirements, and then we have to control the scope. Control the scope means we will be making sure that scope is remain aligned with the project charter and the business document, and you don't get a lot of change requests. Then you have to control quality. You have planned the quality, you have executed the quality, which means you have actually followed the processes as per the quality management plan, as per the checklist that has been given to you. But now you will be making sure, yes, you have followed. Then you have control resources, monitor communication. Monitor communication is another important and interesting area. What do you think of monitor communication? Monitor communication, people usually think that they have to create a progress report or minutes of meeting or some email or something, and then they will send it. And this is their responsibility, and they can stand, shook their hand, okay, we are done with our responsibility. No, monitoring communication means that you have to make sure that your communication is making an impact, that it is getting to the right person at the right time, at the right information. So this is all monitoring. Monitoring risk, again, risk is something that you would be doing continuously on your project. Today one risk is higher, maybe tomorrow it is slower, you might get new risk on the project. Then you have to control procurement and monitor stakeholder engagement. Previously in execution you were managing the stakeholder engagement. In planning you were doing the planning of stakeholder management, and in initiation you were doing a identification of stakeholder management. So what you have identified, based on their identification, you have started planning that what kind of information they would require, what kind of communication they would require. Then you would do that communication, and now you are actually making sure that communication is happening right. So communication and the stakeholder goes in hand to hand, because communication happens with the stakeholders. The remaining details we will go when we start the communication and stakeholder. The next is inputs and outputs, the key inputs and key outputs. So the key input for monitoring and controlling is the plan, and the key input is work performance data. So you would be comparing these two together to identifying the gap in this or the variances in this, so that you can actually request for the change request, and you can do a forecasting where the project will end, and you can make the right corrective and preventive action to get your project back on track. Another important thing which is not written here, but as a project manager, I believe that we should be doing it when we are doing monitoring and controlling the process, is assessing and managing team members. We need to recognize their concerns. We need to understand what kind of changes they might be needing. We need to, it's an emotional quotient of our personality. As a leadership, this is something we will look into when we will be working on, when we will be looking into the project management, project manager's role, that how you need to have make a rapport with your team, so that they feel comfortable talking with you, so that they feel comfortable dealing, raising their concerns to you, may be personal or maybe professional. As planning is very difficult because you will be actually making educating guesses. You don't know what is going to happen in a real life. Execution is difficult because you want to deliver something. You have either you have a good plan or you may have a bad plan, but you are actually delivering. So you are very excited that okay, today we will deliver this, tomorrow it will happen, and this is going to happen. This process has its own complexities. It is a lot is dependent on the project manager's ability. Yes, we have now agile project management. We have a lot of different kind of frameworks available. But again, for me, it is your personal ability to deliver things. It is your personal ability to understand the requirements of the project. You need to so based on your capability, based on your ability, you will be identifying and troubleshooting the problems. You need to look for the right problem statements. You need to look for the root causes on this project. You need to react. You need to avoid reacting. You need to avoid getting scapegoats. You need to avoid chopping the heads. What you should be looking at is the root cause analysis, root causes. You need to look at why, if something is not happening right, what is the root cause of it. It should not be that okay, Mudassar was late, chop his half day salary, done, we have resolved the problem. No, you have not resolved the problem. Ask why he is being late. What are his concerns. Maybe you could help. So these are the things which are very important when you are actually monitoring and controlling. You need to read the faces. Maybe they are delivering, but they are not energetic. Maybe they are not motivated. So all these things will happen as part of the monitoring and controlling. Thank you. Wish you all good luck. This is the fourth process we have done. The final one is a closing that will come.